Oh guys, in the last video I told you about overfitting and underfitting and how can you identify when overfitting or underfitting happens, right? In this video, we'll know how can we avoid our model to get overfit or underfit, right? I'll start with the underfitting first. So I had told you earlier that underfitting happens when your model is too simple, right? So now how can you avoid underfitting? Obviously by making your model complex. And how can you make your model complex? Let's understand it. Suppose you have a deep learning model, right, in which you have certain number of layers and certain number of neurons, right? Now to make it complex, what you'll do, you can increase the number of layers in that model, right? You can increase the number of neurons in that model. You can come up with more number of features, right? You can also train it for more number of epochs, and that is how you will be able to increase the complexity of that model, right? So this is how you'll be able to avoid the underfitting in deep learning model. Now let's understand how can you avoid overfitting. So I had told you that overfitting happens when your model is too complex. Now to avoid overfitting, what you'll do, you'll make your model simpler. And how can you make your model simpler? So again, take the example of deep learning model in which you have certain number of layers and certain number of neurons. Now to make it simpler, what you'll do, you will decrease the number of layers in that model. You will decrease the number of neurons in that model, and you will train for fewer number of epochs. And that is how you'll be able to decrease the complexity of a deep learning model. So these are this is one of the way using which you can avoid overfitting and underfitting. And always remember this thing, you can always use regularization uh, to decrease the overfitting, right? So this is also one of the way of avoiding overfitting. By the way, this overfitting and underfitting concept can also be asked in interview in some different way, and that is called, can you tell me about bias variance trade-off? So high bias nothing but the underfitting only, and high variance nothing but the overfitting. So when you are asked bias variance trade-off, you have to simply explain the concept of overfitting and underfitting only. And bias variance trade-off happens when we try to find the optimal model which is neither high biased nor high varianced.